Welcome to This Podcast Is Not For You. My name is Wes.
My name is Jake.
Hold on, I have a name. I wrote it down.
Cherith, cute story.
No. It is Quiggles Foresight.
What was the... Sorry.
You laughed.
Quiggles.
You laughing at my name?
What was the last name?
Quiggles. Will you stop? It's my name.
My family built this country, by the way.
I wrote it down. And you're going to do that to me?
Why'd you have to write down your name?
So I could remember it. Quiggles Foresight.
Foresight.
Okay. Welcome, Quiggles.
It's good to be here, kind of.
You're our next guest. We had Peyton on a couple times ago, or at some point on an episode.
Snooze. That was boring.
Yeah. What do you have to bring to the table that's more exciting?
My name is Quiggles.
Okay, it's a fair point.
Done.
We are talking today about a new film called The Green Knight.
Yes, we are.
We're just kind of going to do a very casual discussion. Jake and I are going to fist fight at some point. Peyton's going to have to break it up.
Quiggles is here to
Sorry,
break it up.
Review discussion.
Yep.
Yeah. It is a film by director and writer David Lowery, who previously has done A Ghost Story, Pete's Dragon, and The Old Man and the Gun are his most notable films.
And he did a Domino's commercial. I don't know if that's true, but it seems like it could be true.
Thank you, Quiggles, for that
That's what I'm here for.
possibly wrong information.
I'm a film critic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did we... well, I'll give a basic description of
there's
what The Green Knight is.
Yes.
It's an adaptation of a 14th century Arthurian legend of a knight on a quest where...
As all knights have been.
Yep. Well, he's not a knight yet, actually.
Interesting.
He's at the beginning of the story. A large emerald green knight comes into the castle, challenges someone to a game where they get to land a blow on him with a weapon, and he gets to return the strike in a year. And that's the basic concept. And then it's his journey. The knight's name is Gawain. His journey to the Green Knight. That's kind of what the story is, roughly. What were our initial thoughts on the film? Well, first off, how do we feel going into this? Were you excited about it? Were you excited about it, Quiggles?
As a Foresight, I always defer. Us Foresighters, we defer. So I go after.
God.
Well, I was telling... I can't remember who I was telling about.
Was it Quiggles?
No, it was... Man, I don't remember. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was telling them how we have our group chat, and occasionally things will get sent with little to no context. And basically what happened was Wes sent the trailer for this movie, and I watched it, and I was like, this looks absolutely stupid. Because that's what he could mean, right? It's like, because we do that all the time. Like,
sure.
I can't believe they're making this. And we're like, that is insane. So, watched it, and I was like, wow, yeah, that looks so dumb. And then, obviously, that's not what Wes meant. He was like, I think it looks cool. And I was like, neat. So, I didn't think about it again. So, going in, I was like, would I see this on my own? Maybe.
Well, we were talking about beforehand, you're not a fan of high fantasy,
Correct.
And you're not a fan of medieval stuff.
Correct, yeah. So
Not a good mixture.
Yeah, so I like...
That's basically all this is.
Well, then the thing is, right, it's like, well, okay, my frame of reference that I've had in my head since I saw it was Birdman, and do I like theater? Do I like Michael Keaton? Do I like Ed Norton? Those kind of things, right? Do I like the idea of the creative process? Yes, 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 yes. Also a very well done piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I've been thinking about since we saw it, is very well done piece of work, I hated it.
Yeah.
So it was just really weird because it's like, I didn't really want to see it, but we were making it a thing, and I'm very much of, well, I have unlimited. Sunday afternoon, I would probably take a nap anyway, so I'll just go and see it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going with my friends. Why not? Type of
We'll
thing.
probably have an interesting conversation about it.
So anyway, that was my expectation level going in, I suppose.
And you hated it. Cool. Peyton? Or,
Squiggles?
sorry, Quiggles.
Squiggles?
You look a lot like Peyton. That's all.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Squiggles.
Is that what it is?
Squiggles.
It's Squiggles, but I get Squiggles, and that's fine.
I figured.
Actually a different ethnicity, but really, the movie, right? Is that what we're talking about? I'm just kidding.
Draw it out real clear for us, Squiggles.
The thing about me is I have a 10-second memory.
You got a lot of things about you, don't you? Gliggles.
Well, I'm 10 minutes old, so yeah, I have to come up with stuff.
Good Lord.
I
What were your expectations?
My expectations for the Green Knight were as follows. I saw, I think, one trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I saw the one that you sent. I maybe saw a teaser trailer, and that was the only one I saw.
That's what I sent.
Okay. I saw the teaser trailer, so the one that you sent. And I thought that visually, I mean, the only thing that you can get from the trailer really is visuals because it's so short, and who knows
There was
what it
like
could be.
barely any dialogue in the teaser, I think, too.
Barely any dialogue in the movie.
That's true.
I would say I was expecting, based on his previous work too, very impressive visuals and cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed with it being what the content of the movie, I thought that was going to be an interesting combination. So doing a medieval, like you said, King Arthur type story, fantasy story. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Essentially. So I was expecting a fairy tale with some crazy visuals.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, I think that's what we got.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty much what was expected going in. And I thought upon first watch that it was, again, spectacular to look at and to watch. I like the pacing of it. I thought that it was enthralling the whole time. At a certain point, I stopped trying to figure out what was going on. Just because I don't think you are supposed to. I think it's a fairy tale. Just like how other fairy tales have, children's fairy tales, Grimm fairy tales, if you want to just take those, they have things that come into the story for no purpose. They're just there. It's like when when you're just children's stories of that era, they just don't have, I don't think everything's supposed to mean something. It's a fantasy story.
They're
it's
a
like,
bit more disjointed in some aspects.
It took me a minute to get used to that. It took me a quarter of the movie, probably. He's on his journey for 20 or 30 minutes until I'm like, okay, I'm going to let go of whatever
expectation
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
So at that point, I started really enjoying it,
Yeah.
because there are themes to pull from it, like real world themes and some lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think the moral lesson of the poem, which it has that the original source material has a moral purpose, and it's very overt in the poem,
Sure.
which a lot of writing of that time was. It's not like, what do you think it's about? It's like, no, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
It's very lesson based storytelling, and I think that stuff is intact in this telling of it. I think it's more ambiguous and more under the surface than it is on the nose.
Yeah, I think the distracting thing for the thing that's hard to pull yourself out of wanting it to not be full on fairy tale is everything looks so real. Everything looks so good
Mm-hmm.
that I think subconsciously you want it to be
The real world.
the real world, and it's just not. So
Yeah. But you forget about, like, the
you're
King Arthur legend is
torn.
not real.
Sure.
It's a fictional
Yeah,
thing.
mythology of any
Yeah.
kind like that is not real, but when you're watching it and it looks so convincing, I
Mm.
think part of it is wanting it to be more grounded.
Yeah. So the fantastical elements might feel a little bit more out of place is the wrong term, but it might like kind of surprise you a little bit.
Yeah,
Is that kind of what you mean?
or I think naturally you want it, and Jake might be able to elaborate on that more. Is you want it to at least come back and scratch the surface of the real world, and then maybe go back in.
Mm.
You know, because you want it to connect to the real world again. I think quicker
Mm.
than it does. You know, I think you want it to fade back and forth probably
Mm.
naturally. I think the average moviegoer probably.
Interesting.
What did you think?
Just to give my expectations, I have seen two of this director's previous films. I've seen a movie called Ain't Them Body Saints, which is
Good
one
one.
of his early ones,
Mhm.
and it's been a long time since I've seen it.
It's good.
I really need to rewatch it. I remember being bored by it whenever I initially saw it, but I was much younger. Jake and I were talking about this beforehand. It's like you can never trust yourself from like 10 years ago and the movies that you thought were boring then.
Yeah, because you were into Aaron Carter. So let's be honest. Not 10 years ago, but
I was going to say, like,
Still am. Aaron's party, come get it. So
how did you beat Shaq?
that.
Okay. Oh, Quiggles over here, big Aaron Carter fan.
AC for life.
but I had seen that, and then I'd seen A Ghost Story. And I'd seen the first probably like 30 minutes of Pete's Dragon, and then I was like, I don't think this movie's for me. It wasn't poorly made or anything. It's just pretty straightforward in terms of filmmaking. But I really love A Ghost Story. And the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. It was different. But every time I watch it, I love it more and more. My wife and I watched it last night after I got home from watching The Green Knight. Sorry.
Ghost Green.
A Ghost Green Knight story.
A green ghost.
Dragon Pete's.
But yeah, I really loved that movie. And the first time I saw the teaser trailer for Green Knight, I was like, this looks crazy because the visual aspect of it looks so unique.
Yes.
Like, I can't think of another movie that looks like this one does.
I can't either.
It's so distinct in terms of the visual style, and it looks like the same filmmaking technique that he used in A Ghost Story, just like amped up.
I was
going to
say, it looks like a ghost story a little bit in terms of lighting, in terms of, I mean, you can,
this is way more stylized.
yeah.
But the thing I was thinking about is you can tell his natural filmmaking style is to linger on shots longer than you
want to.
Yeah.
Makes you a little uncomfortable.
Uh-huh. Like, for example, in A Ghost Story, there's a 7-minute long shot of Rooney Mara's character eating a pie. And you're watching it, and I've heard him describe it as like, I want the audience to give up, get bored for a moment, and then come back into it and realize it's still happening.
Yeah.
And hopefully going through that whole thing puts them in the place of what her character is going through.
Sure.
But that's his filmmaking style, I think. And then he's just made a couple movies where he can make a very traditional movie.
Yeah.
Like what I've seen of Old Man and the Gun and then Pete's Dragon, they're very straightforward. And he's making, for Disney, he's making Peter Pan and Wendy, a live action Peter Pan and Wendy.
I really want to watch that.
And
I've seen the trailer and it looks amazing.
There's a trailer out for that?
Oh, maybe it's a different one. Is it called Wendy? The one that coming out now soon?
I don't know.
There's one coming out
Huh.
pretty soon.
Interesting. But he's still filming that.
It
right
looks like
now.
Where the Wild Things Are, Beasts of No Nation is what it looks like to me.
Weird. Anyways, but yeah, so I was really excited going into it. I'm a big fan of medieval films and medieval fantasy stuff. I think it's really interesting, and this looked like something new in that genre, and it lived up to that expectation. I have not seen a movie like it, really. And that's one thing I was saying to Steph last night when I was thinking about it. I was like, really, when I'm going into a movie now, I want to see something I haven't seen before, because I feel like I've seen it all. Like, when I see trailers now, I'm just tired, because I'm just like, yeah, I've seen it. Like, I feel like I've seen it 5 times already.
Yeah, I found the trailer. You're going to watch it after this.
Okay. For his movie?
Yeah, for Peter Pan and Wendy.
Oh, I did not know there was a
Oh, yeah.
trailer out.
You're going to love it.
Sweet.
Anyway.
But yeah, so it felt like just something I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was leaning over to you. Like, every other shot, I was like, good Lord.
Yeah, it
the
was stupid good.
cinematography is insane.
Yeah,
And
it was...
I think all of us that went and saw it could agree, like, the visuals were pretty crazy in terms of the cinematography. Was just like
It's breathtaking.
top notch.
Definitely. The shot of him swimming when it turns red.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Goes into like a constellation type
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
and yeah.
And I feel like the thing with David Lowery is, like, he's undeniably talented in terms of his filmmaking style and his abilities. I think sometimes his natural storytelling style is not for everybody, because I think a ghost story is not for everybody.
Yeah, I think the majority of people, I would say even
Yeah.
80% of people would
Yeah.
say Ghost Story is boring.
Right. Because
Or
it's
that The Green Knight's boring.
yeah. I loved it. It's
It's bending. It's like you're stretching your watching ability.
yeah.
And it doesn't feel good sometimes.
Right.
Um,
For me, the feeling I had watching Green Knight was just like, yes, like something different, something like I did not expect this part to happen in the
Yeah.
movie. Like, I didn't know where it was.
I mean,
going.
I thought a great example was the opening shot. The opening shot is masterfully done, cut with the title cards, and then it pulls back into... I didn't expect that shot. Like, I didn't know what was happening. It
The
lingered.
shot with the animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it pulls
There
back.
was an opening shot before that of like the little intro
Yes.
with the voiceover and his head lights on fire.
Right.
But that's more like a tonal, like,
Yeah, I would say the opening shot is the one
yeah,
that we're describing
that's
with
pretty fair.
the cottage and the... But you see things happening. Like,
There's a
the
building
camera
on-
doesn't move.
The third time I was like, is that
Yeah.
building on fire?
People
the whole
come
time?
out.
Like,
People come out, and then it's just like you notice things. He lets the camera sit, and then it's up to you to notice things.
right.
He's not going to point at them.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought the story, which is I think where we'll differ on our feelings on it for the most part. I think it's obtuse at points in time, like hard to know what's going on. I got the feeling that everything that was happening in the movie was actually happening. Nothing was like imagined. Nothing was what's real, what's not real. I never got the feeling that that was the case.
It's either that or none of it's real. And it's just, like I said, fairy tale. It's just a fairy tale. Like
I mean, within the world of the story, though.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I think you're looking at a parable is
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be real people. It doesn't have to be King Arthur. It's not King Arthur. So it's like,
right.
King Arthur's not a real person either.
I guess
but-
I mean in terms of like what is happening to the characters
Sure.
is happening to the characters.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he,
It just doesn't work in our world. So
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't, there's no groundwork laid for you to be able to understand it later. Like what's happening 3/4 in,
Yeah.
because it is fantasy, but witchcraft is part of whatever you want, whether it's real or not, it's in the, it's in people's minds in our world.
Sure.
Witchcraft is a real thing.
Yeah.
For us, giant people is not
Yeah.
really. So it's like you're mixing things that are part of the real world and then things that aren't. I think that's the disorienting part sometimes with it.
Yeah. And
but all of this to say, I'll say this and I'll be done. You guys can roll on it. I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
We've only seen it once, and I think it's one of those that I need to watch again before I give an actual review of some kind.
Yeah. My initial feeling was, I think we said this while we were watching it, is like, I love seeing a movie where about 30 minutes in, I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to need to watch this one again because it's got that much going on in it, I think.
Sure.
And I'll say this about, I think, why it worked for me and why I felt it was refreshing. I won't get into spoilers really at all, but it has a positive message of a character committing to what they say they're going to do. And I think a lot of his journey is wrestling with the ideas like, is he going to his death?
Sure.
And is he going to honestly face it? And I think that is a moral tale that I find refreshing, because to me that's a moral that fits within my view of morality. And I think that's probably why, because this comes from what is essentially a Christian era of the world. Like the medieval world, the poems were almost all
messianic,
moral and based in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And the moral of that poem was a Christian moral. So I think that's why I really was happy about it, was like seeing something. And I don't think David Lowery is a Christian. And there's some disturbing things in this, but I think it has a moral backbone to it, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally Christian. I'm always happy to see a story that gets it right in the moral sense, because so many get it wrong. So many are way off on what the movie thinks is right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And this is such a traditional tale that it's from a time where morality was pretty much agreed on. Like even something as simple as like having honor and doing what you say you're going to do. Like I think one of the big points of the movie would be like, many people in that scenario would be like, I'm just not going to go. Like, I'm not going to go face it because, like, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really a thought to not go.
Right.
Yeah. Jake, why don't you take it? What were your thoughts on it?
I probably couldn't really say much without getting into spoilers.
Yeah.
I think just hearing, and this is no knock, like, honestly, no knock to either of you, no knock to me, obviously, because sometimes I fall into this, but it's like, just listening to you two talk about it is why people like, my brother or something think that we're pretentious a-holes. That's just all I'm hearing right now, honestly. And it's just like, I don't know, just the fact that that you think a 7-minute shot of someone eating pie, and again, I haven't seen it, but that's the only example that I can really remember from, hearing you guys talk, is like, is good. That's why people are like, this is why film critics are stupid. So it's like, it's just those kind of ideas where it's like, it doesn't have action, so you didn't like it, or, and it's like, people, like I said, I love Birdman. And my brother's like, that movie sucks. And I'm like, it doesn't though. And he's like, but it sucks and it's boring. So it's like those, that's kind of why. It all depends
on what you want from a movie. Like, I think a lot of I was saying this to Steph last night. There was a point in time in movie watching history where The Godfather was not just, it didn't just win Best Picture, it was a box office success. Like it made millions and millions of dollars in the box office. You release The Godfather today, it's not going to do that. If it was a brand new movie, The Godfather comes out as it is, it does not make the money that it made back then. I think tastes, like, everyone always wants to hesitate to be like insulting, but like tastes in movies have gone down. Like, as a culture, our taste in quality in everything is worse than it was 30 years ago, I think. Like, and I think it's almost objective. Like, the movies that make billions of dollars now, you hold them up to what were box office successes 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they just don't hold a candle. Like, if constant, like, blah, like, stimulation stuff is all you like in a movie, that's totally fine. But don't pretend that it's better than The Godfather.
Right, and this is what I'm saying is people hear that and they're like, you're just being pretentious.
Yeah,
Then
but
you're being pretentious about the
No, because I
action
think
stuff.
most of the time people are saying, like, this isn't amazing, but if the point of a movie is to entertain you, it's doing a better job, I guess, is what...
Well, then
what-
you disagree
what
on the
people would
point
say.
of a movie. Like, different movies have different points.
I think all of them are supposed to entertain you to a point.
I don't
Sure.
think storytelling, and that's basically what we're talking about in any type of entertainment, is storytelling. That's what we're doing. We're regurgitating stories that we've either heard or have experienced,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't think it's pure entertainment, and I don't think it should be. I think the best ones have both. They have entertainment and they have a more, whatever you want, something to grow from.
Yeah.
But I would say the definition of pretentious is saying,
Did you just
I've
look
got
it up?
quality when you don't have it.
Did you just look it up?
I did look it up. But it's when you don't have the quality to support it.
Yeah.
I think it's only pretentious if there's no quality there to be had. I think, yes, you're absolutely 100% right, Jake. There is a culture of talking about it in an intelligent way all of a sudden makes everyone pretentious about it, of any kind, really. Of
And I
talking
think-
about any kind of anything. Like, if you talk about food in a way like that, if you talk about coffee in a way like that,
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't have to be you. There's a way to do it. There's a way
By
to
that
intelligently
definition-
talk about something without alienating other people.
Yeah.
By
And
that
we don't do
definition,
it very well.
Everybody
Yeah.
has something they're pretentious about. Then.
Sure.
So, like,
I think that people can do it way better. I think you can have a wealth of knowledge about something and not make someone feel small.
Yeah.
sure.
But I think that's what happens a lot is you've got one or another person in a conversation that's like, they're on the same level, wavelength, but this other person is out because
Yeah.
they can't, they're just not that
Yeah.
about that thing. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think there's a way to be a human being in that
Sure.
kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
talking.
And a way to be a film critic. There's a way to be an intelligent film critic and not sound like, not try to,
Yeah.
not look in your Webster's dictionary for
Yeah.
a word every two
Yeah.
sentences.
Yeah, because I guess another thing is, like, when you say that you're seeing, like, trailers and you're like, yeah, or no, you're like, when you see trailers, you're like, ugh. And then when you see it in a movie, you're like, thank you. It's like, you never go to the movies. So it's like, I don't know if you have a leg to stand on, really, then. When you're saying, like, this is so different. It's like, I don't know. Did you see Thunder Road? Did you see Sound of Metal? About a deaf drummer trying to tour in a rock. It's just like there are really good movies being made. And
I
it's
know
like-
there are.
So it's like, I don't know if it's like this thing where you can be like, I hate movies now. It's kind of like, well, remember
But
when
that's the thing. I don't hate movies now. I hate that so much of what gets made and what is really successful is the same stuff made over and over again.
Right.
Like, that's undeniable that that's happening in the industry.
Oh, yeah,
The fact that
sequels,
Space Jam is happening
prequels,
again.
yeah.
Like, that's more what I'm talking about than there's a ton of independent stuff going on right now where sometimes I'm interested and sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
Like most people would normally be if we had a industry that was just like intent on releasing quality stuff. Sometimes things are for people and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, just like music.
Yes.
But this is a super wide release. I mean, this is like...
Which surprised me. I was really...
I didn't even know it was A24 until like it showed. I was like, I have no idea. Like, so, but, I agree.
But to your guys' point about the like kind of pretentious stuff, like I get that. And we said this yesterday, and you and I said this beforehand, like, I understand someone watching The Green Knight and not liking it. I understand someone watching something like A Ghost Story and not liking it. But I
wish I had seen it before. I didn't know it was his until yesterday. Else I probably would have watched it.
A Ghost Story?
Just for the sake of,
But I get that. What I would never like hate somebody for not liking this.
Right.
And I think that's what people think that pretentious people do.
But the other part of that is the inverse of that should be true too. Like, you shouldn't put somebody down, or, and I'm not saying you do that. I'm saying I hope this is the case for anybody that is in these kind of conversations with friends and stuff. If someone loves every Avengers movie, you also can't shoot them down for that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So if everyone, not because they're undeniable, like there is a line somewhere, like they're undeniably lower brow than some other movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so everyone agrees in like the middle quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you get to the ends, that's when people get fired up about stuff.
Right.
And I don't know where we draw that line, because it's like everyone can agree. The Harry Potter movies are not as quality as Godfather or whatever.
Sure.
So everyone agrees on some stuff, but it's like for some reason on the ends of the spectrum, people really tend to fight over that kind of thing.
And I have never thought less of a person because of the type of movie that they like.
Sure.
Because it doesn't reflect what kind of person they are.
Right. Yeah.
And
so I know where your like fire is coming from is towards filmmakers and studios, really, probably more than anything else.
It's not a frustration with people, like audiences, because it's not their fault that they didn't make the industry start making what they're making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think to some extent the quality of major film releases has dropped, not because I think it's been done to the audience. I really do think audience tastes have been watered down intentionally by studios.
Incrementally over time, obviously. Yeah.
Because how else do you explain the disparity between Godfather and like the things that are nominated for Best Picture now are radically different from what is financially successful a lot of times.
Yes, yeah.
And
that didn't used to be the case.
Right. Now, some of that has to do with
corruption,
critical acclaim films being like hyper politicized or whatever,
distribution being lesser for bigger movies,
disparities between Hollywood and the rest of the country. Like, I understand.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand all of that.
Yeah.
And I understand why people view art films as pretentious.
Yeah.
But just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's like
doesn't mean it's not good.
Doesn't mean
because this is not for you.
Exactly.
Doesn't
mean it's that it's not good.
Yeah.
Again, this is quick.
That's the thing is, back to the Green Knight. I wouldn't say that it's bad.
Right.
Like that's I didn't even say that when we walked out.
Yeah.
You know, I just said.
You just said you were bored.
Yes, I did not like it. I think, anyone, because unfortunately, when you go see Joe Bell, no one asks you what you're seeing. And then for some reason, when you go see The Green Knight, everyone's like, what are you seeing? Because I do the Instagram thing, right? And so everyone, for some reason, they were like, what are you seeing? I do it every time I go to the movies, but so I was like, The Green Knight. Oh, that's crazy. How was it? It's like 5 different people, and I had to explain. I was like, everyone that went agreed that the cinematography was amazing. I think Dev Patel did really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, it's just like there are good things that happened in this movie, right?
Yes.
And so it's like, so yeah, when we walked out, I was like, the swimming shot with like the red water, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then like right at the beginning, you know me, like heroic on the cover of my first album, the microphone's on fire right next to me, and I was like, we got to do this for real. It'll be awesome. And then one of my favorite album covers of all time is Pink Floyd. I Wish You Were Here. They're shaking hands. The dude's on fire. And so like that opening shot, I was like, holy crap. I was like, I'm in. And so it was about 20 or 30 minutes in where I was like, never mind. But I recognized that cool things happened, and technical things happened, where it's like, dang, no idea. Like,
Right.
But yeah, I just, anything else I would say specifically about it would be like spoiler territory. But yeah, I would have, the more interesting moral thing that I wish they were going towards would be literally the deal is I'll return whatever blow you can land on me. That's what the Green Knight says. He's like, anyone that can land a blow on me, I will return the exact same blow to them.
Yeah.
And so the cooler avenue that I thought would have been much more interesting would be the pride that it took to do what he did. Because it wasn't about, it was just, for me, it wasn't about staying true to your word. And I mean, it was, but I wish it wouldn't have been. I wish it was, why? Why did you do that? Because so that was, and I said about 20 or 30 minutes in, I was like, this is really cool. It's obviously well done. I really like it, and then, after that I was like, oh, this can only end one way. And if it doesn't, it's going to be terrible. And if it's on the way and it's boring along the way, then it's just, this is a waste of time. And so that's kind of how I had a whole day, because I really, all I could say yesterday was like, I didn't like it, and I'm not sure I could tell you why right now, because it was like 5 minutes after. But anyway, that's, without going into super specific stuff, that's how I think I have seen it. And yeah, one watch reviews should absolutely be that. One watch reviews.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a pretty good, both of those sides are going to be a pretty good indication of the reviews going forward for it. Probably there's going to be people that absolutely hate it, and there's going to be people that absolutely love it. Again,
I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes
people
scores
on the
today.
ends of the spectrum for this kind of thing.
I looked at
the
Rotten Tomatoes scores today, and critic score is like 90%, audience score is like 48.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah,
I didn't surprise me at all.
But that's what's great about, and we talked about it very briefly, but this is more for the podcast. That's what's so great about us. It's like all three of us usually agree on stuff like this, and like that's what's so cool about. We don't. I mean, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I don't really. But that's what's so great is like we can talk about stuff that we all three love, and be like, this wasn't jiving with me, guys. Like, I didn't understand like why this needed to happen this way or whatever. And so that's what's so great about the podcast is it's 3 people talking about, like, for the most part, stuff we all enjoy, but then occasionally it'll be like not at all the same, which is like really cool, I think. But
and I think it's a good point that everyone should be able to have equal conversations about both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with equal merit.
Because especially the thing is, I understand why you both enjoyed it. And I know you're saying, well, I'm going to hold off, but I get it. But it's just like, never mind, spoiler stuff. But it's like, that for me is just, that's not it, you know? And so, will I go see Jungle Cruise? Absolutely. Will I be more entertained? Unfortunately, probably. You know what I'm saying?
See, I don't think it's unfortunate. I don't think it's, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's like, but again, you like movies that have, you like just as many movies that are high concept as Wes does.
But I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
But there you go. So it's like it doesn't, as long as you know what you're wanting going in or expecting or what the reason you're going to the movie, as long as you know that, it's like that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you're also not going to Jungle Cruise saying this is
gonna be
high art.
Yeah.
Best
you know what I
picture.
mean? Like
I see
think-
them all.
I think
it's good for going to movies is good for movies. You know?
Yeah, and I think too, like you like what you like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in terms of storytelling and entertainment and art, because I mean, some people don't want to look at films as art, like they just want to look at them as like mass consumer entertainment. But
Yeah.
there is an art form going on in every single movie, because it takes 200 something people to create this thing that there's a visual component to it. There's a sound. It is a work of art.
And I think it's a culture created ecosystem to say just because you care about the art of something means you're pretentious.
Yes,
I will say that.
I
Any kind of music, of film, of baking, of
I think
yard work. It doesn't matter. Like it's not. It doesn't have to be pretentious.
I also think built into saying you're being pretentious is implying that I think I'm better than you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that's with the majority of time when people say that. I think
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think some people do think that way. They think they're better than other people because they like X.
This just isn't for you. But yeah.
I have, and I just want to say, like, again, Green Knight is not going to be for everybody, and I don't think every movie should be for everybody. But like I've seen reviews for A Ghost Story, and it's like I don't know how to articulate this. Like the people that post what?
We're living at Chelsea. She's leaving.
Our
producer's leaving. She had enough.
The people that post bad reviews on movies like A Ghost Story, it's just like, okay, what were you wanting? Like, because it's just so boring. It's just a guy in a sheet. I don't even understand what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. It's on the poster.
There's a guy under there?
But, like, it's like, okay, it's not for you. You don't have to rake it over the coals because it's not for you. It's people going like, why does this even exist? This isn't a movie. It's like, no, it's just a movie you didn't like.
And I don't think we'd ever say we know why things like big blockbuster movies exist. It's like we're not questioning their existence. Nor do I think that they should be abolished.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that's you know.
Yes. There's negative impacts of things like the Marvel movies on the film industry, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would never try and take something away from people that they enjoy like that.
Yeah.
I just wish things like that didn't elbow out other content, other creatives, you know, because now the trend is a filmmaker makes one little indie project, scoop them up, give them a $200 million film, and drain all individual like narrative voice out of their storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I don't think the movie shouldn't exist. I just wish you wouldn't do that to these filmmakers.
Yeah.
Granted, those filmmakers are agreeing to do it.
Yeah.
So some of it's on them.
Yeah.
But I just think like it's hard with an industry that is both art and profit.
A product, for sure.
Straddling that line. But do we want to talk about spoilers at all, just even briefly, or leave it out?
I think we're good. I think we did. I think we have our opinions out there. I think it's long enough. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to see it,
I would highly recommend it. It's, again, first time viewing, but it is one of my favorites in a very long time.
Would you recommend it, Pate?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely, if you're I mean, I think based on this review or this conversation, you can probably guess whether you're going to like it or not. And I would say, if you think you're going to like it, you're probably going to really like it. If you don't think you're going to like it, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Don't expect sword
across the
swinging.
board, I think if you, across the board though, it absolutely needs to be watched to see the visuals. I think even if you hate the story, even if you think it's boring, I mean, I think if it was a silent film, it would still be worth watching. So I think visually it's incredible and it should win every award. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. For people going into it, don't expect some action-packed night film. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's not there's one sword swung throughout the movie, really. It's just not that kind of a film. It's way more, I mean, I'm going to sound pretentious, but it's way more like cerebral and like mind-bending. Again, a moral tale where there's lots of themes going on. I thought all the performances were great too. Dev Patel was really good, and then Alicia Vikander was also great. But yeah, and win every cinematography award ever. But
Yeah, I think. I mean, I would say don't waste your time, but I think another reason I would say that is because I was let down a lot because obviously one of my favorite things is like going to a movie with both of you and just walking out and being absolutely blown away. Like
Sure.
that's one of my favorite things ever.
yeah,
Sure.
Right? And so it's like I wish that I could. You know,
sure.
that's
But
that's
that's what
another-
makes the times that we do even more special.
yeah,
That's true. Yeah. So I mean that's another reason why I was let down a lot, you know, cuz it's like
want to be all pumped
freaking
together.
Wes wants to go. Let's go. You know, and then
It's
I don't
not,
know, but
even if you loved that movie, I don't think it's one that you walk out pumped anyway. Like, I don't think you'd be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like a hype movie.
Nah,
Yeah,
I mean, I think
yeah.
that's one that, like, it kind of sits with you. Like,
Yeah,
it felt
You're
like,
sure.
you know,
wow.
it really sat
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
I felt like.
I mean, I've thought about it a lot today,
Yeah.
and I think that might be another reason why I am attracted to movies like this. Is like when a movie can sit in my brain and make me think about it for a couple days, then I'm happy with my movie going
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
You know, and this just like gave me a lot of things that I didn't know that I wanted, if that makes sense. Like,
Makes sense to you?
threw me a lot of curveballs that I didn't expect, and yeah, was just like visually blown away the whole time. It was like a visual feast. Just every shot was like, I don't even know how they did like half of the shots in it.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Cool.
that has been our conversation about the Green Knight.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I'm Quiggles Foresight.
He is indeed. Thank you for being on, Quiggles.
Of course. I kind of just felt like just merged right into your guys'
Yeah.
flow.
I feel like we've known you for years.
Member.
Yeah.
My
Wait.
name is Wes,
Oh, I'm Jake.
and this has been This Podcast Is Not For You. Thanks for listening
And watching.
and watching.